shocking truth about Grandpa's abuse after Grandma's passing leaves the family in tears. Emma stood in the old family home, the air thick with memories and unspoken words. The once vibrant walls now seemed shadowed by a heavy silence. Her grandmother, Margaret, had filled this house with laughter and warmth. Now it felt cold and distant. As relatives milled around, sharing stories tempered by tears, Emma's heart raced. What was left unsaid hung between them. Something sinister, just out of reach. The attic called to her, a forbidden treasure trove of the past. She clambered up the rickety steps, each groan of the wood echoing her unease. Dust motes danced in the muted sunlight, filtering through a cracked window. There it was, a battered trunk, the leather worn and cracked. A whimsical idea sparked in her mind. Perhaps she would uncover buried treasures, loving notes from her grandparents, or cherished family heirlooms. With trembling hands, she pried it open. But instead of memories, there lay a weathered journal, its pages yellowed but intact. Curiosity clawed at her, edging out the nagging sadness. The moment she flipped it open, she was hit by words that turned her world upside down. Allegations of abuse splashed across the pages like ink blots on her heart. Each line clawed at her insides. The grandfather she idolized, had he really done such terrible things? Emma's breath caught in her throat. How could she reconcile this image of her brave grandfather, a war hero who had saved countless lives, with the monster painted in this journal? The air around her thickened, her breath shallow. She felt more lost than ever. Rushing downstairs, she sought the comfort of her cousins, but they were wrapped in their own memories. "Remember how he used to tell those silly stories?" Rachel said, her eyes glistening with nostalgia. "He taught me how to ride a bike." Emma's heart sank. "But don't you see, there's more to him than that. He's not who we thought he was." Whispers filled the room as her relatives glanced at each other, uncertainty brewing beneath the surface. Emma's friends, her allies, now felt more like strangers. Some shrugged off her concerns, their laughter filling the gaps in the pain. Others clung tightly to rosy memories, unwilling to tarnish their visions of a beloved figure. The tension grew, sparking a fire in Emma's chest. "How can you ignore this?" she shouted, her voice echoing against the walls. The silence that followed was palpable, thick like molasses. Just when Emma thought clarity was within reach, a knock shattered the standoff. The door swung open to reveal an old family friend, his face a mask of urgency, clutching a letter worn with time. This mysterious document, cradled in his hands, could unravel everything they thought they knew. "What's that?" Emma asked, her pulse quickening. The man looked at her, eyes filled with dread and something else. Regret? Hope? A question lingered in the air, heavy with unspoken truths. "Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact." The man hesitated, the weight of the letter heavy in his hands. Emma could see the tremor in his fingers, feel the charge in the air. "This letter, it's about your grandfather," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Emma's heart pounded. "What do you mean?" He took a deep breath, as if bracing himself for impact. "It was found not long after your grandmother's passing. I was asked to keep it safe until the time was right." A tremor ran through his voice, and Emma's chest tightened. "What's in it?" she pressed, urgency draping over her like a suffocating blanket. "Something about your grandfather. And the secrets he kept buried." The murmurs around them grew louder, filled with a mix of disbelief and apprehension. Emma felt her pulse quicken. The cozy memories of family gatherings, laughter that filled the air, all felt like a cruel joke now. "Secrets?" Emma echoed, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. She took a step closer, eyes locked on him. "What kind of secrets?" He unfolded the letter cautiously, revealing the yellowed parchment. Emma's gaze raced across the paper, overwhelming dread creeping in. As he read, every word sent ripples of confusion and fear coursing through the room. Your grandfather was not only a war hero, but also a man hiding a terrible truth. The voices faded, replaced by the rapid thud of Emma's heart. "What did he do?" she managed to ask, a lump forming in her throat. "It says here that he had a past, something he hid from everyone, including Grandma. It mentions names, people affected by actions he took during the war," he said, his voice faltering. "But it goes deeper than that. There are references to abuse, not just from him, but within your family's past." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Emma felt the room tilt, her footing shaky. "No, that can't be," she breathed. Her mind raced, grappling with the dissonance between the man she thought she knew and this monstrous shadow looming over them. "Turn it over," someone said, voice trembling. The man's fingers shook as he flipped the letter. What Emma saw nearly shattered her. There, inked on the back, were names, hastily scrawled, including her grandmother's own. "No," she whispered, horror settling deep in her bones. "What does that mean?" The family friend shut his eyes for a moment, as if the sight was too much. "Means your grandmother may have been part of it, or was trying to protect someone involved. This isn't just about your grandfather." Emma staggered back, teetering on the edge of understanding. Faces turned to her, fear and confusion mingling with disbelief. The room seemed to close in on her, past and present colliding in a cacophony of terror. "How can I trust anything anymore?" she shouted, voice breaking. A wave of whispers enveloped her, questioning glances darting like bullets. The warmth of shared memories evaporated, replaced by a chilling reality. Relationships felt fragile, as if they might splinter apart at any moment. Emma's gaze fixed on the family friend again, desperation flooding her. "What else is there? You can't just drop this and walk away." His eyes darkened, as if haunted by the past sealed within the letter. "There's more, but it could change everything." The silence that followed was deafening, each heartbeat like thunder in her ears. The reality they built around their grandfather began to crumble, revealing a web of secrets, betrayal, and a family fractured by lies. And just when Emma thought she was prepared for the worst, the man added softly, "The letter mentions a location, a place where all of this began, a place where shadows could spill their secrets." Emma's heart raced, adrenaline coursing through her. "Then let's go there," she said, voice fierce. "We need to know what happened. No more hiding." The weight of the impending truth loomed heavy. Would she find answers, or more devastation? Emma's breath quickened as she questioned who they really were. The air around her buzzed with the thrill of new revelations, yet fear gripped her tightly. What awaited them in the darkness of the past? Emma's heart thundered in her chest as the family friend hesitated, the letter trembling in his hands. Around her, the room felt alive with disbelief, anticipation, and fear. "What location?" she pressed, desperation flooding her voice. "The old barn." He finally managed, eyes wide. "Where your grandfather used to take your grandma for their secret meetings. The place no one talked about." "What meetings?" Emma asked, eyebrows furrowing. The words scraped against her heart. The barn was a refuge for him, a place to hide what he was really doing. "I thought it was safe to keep this from you, but—" He trailed off, those unspoken secrets carving a chasm between them. "But what?" Emma demanded. "What happened there?" Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. Voices murmured, and the hum of family conversations faded into a low buzz. The air felt electric, thick with tension. A glance exchanged between her cousins hinted at something more lurking beneath the surface. Then, as if orchestrated by fate, the lights flickered overhead. Gasps erupted in the room, and Emma's stomach twisted. Amidst the growing unease, she noticed her younger cousin, Jake, standing unnaturally still. Something was very, very wrong. He took a step back, his face losing color, eyes wide as if he'd seen a ghost. "Emma," he choked out, pointing toward the door just as it swung open with a loud creak. The atmosphere shifted again, heavy with an unexpected dread. A figure stepped inside, their long-lost aunt, Clara, who had vanished years ago, rumored to be deep in trouble. And now here she was. Dirty clothes, wild hair, eyes frantic. "I'm sorry, I had to come!" she gasped, clutching a small frayed notebook to her chest. The room went silent, startled eyes glued to her. "You have to listen to me before it's too late." "What are you talking about?" Emma's voice wavered, heart racing. She felt a surge of anger and confusion. Clara's gaze darted around the room, landing on Emma. "It's about Grandpa. He had people watching us. He wasn't just hiding. His past. He was still involved. They thought he had control." Emma shot a look back at the family friend. "Control over what?" Clara shook her head frantically, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I'm not safe, no one is. They're coming." At those words, the tension skyrocketed. Someone whispered, "Who's coming?" Someone else blinked in confusion. The questions hung thick in the air, tainted with fear. Clara fumbled with the notebook, hands shaking. It's all written down. About the people he hurt. About what our family was involved in. The secrets we thought were buried." "What secrets?" Rachel asked, stepping forward. "What do you mean?" Clara's eyes widened, fear morphing into a disposition that felt like a warning. "Things we didn't want to remember. Not just Grandpa. Everyone had a hand in it. And it wasn't just abuse. It was much worse." A murmur erupted through the crowd. Emma felt the room spin. Her throat tightened. She could hardly breathe. "You can't say that and not explain." Clara's breathing quickened. "There's a reason I left. I overheard things. And they're still watching." Suddenly, the door behind Clara slammed shut, the sound reverberating ominously. Emma's heart raced as murmurs grew into frantic whispers, a storm brewing among her family. "What?" she gasped, stepping back. Someone shouted, "Look!" just as a shadow loomed outside the window, darkening the light coming through. "Who is it?" Emma turned, dread pooling in her gut. Then from the darkness, a figure emerged, silhouetted in the fading illumination. It wasn't just anyone. It was her grandfather in a long, tattered coat, face shrouded in shadow, eyes glinting with something sinister. "You shouldn't have opened that trunk," he said, voice low and haunting. Time stopped. Emma's heart sank into her stomach. "What do you mean?" His lips curled into a chilling smile, and everything she thought she knew began to unravel. Emma's heart dropped as her grandfather stepped into the light, shadowed and menacing. "You shouldn't have opened that trunk," he repeated, his voice smooth as ice. Panic flared. "What did you mean by that?" But his eyes glinted in a way that turned her insides cold. "Grandpa, we need to talk about this," she urged, feeling the room close in around her. The weight of every gaze on their family caught in this moment. He stepped closer, eyes boring into hers. "There are things you're not ready to understand, Emma. Things you wish you hadn't learned." As if on cue, Clara clutched her notebook tighter, her eyes darting to the door. "Get out!" she yelled, panic slicing through her voice. "He's dangerous. He's not who you think." But the old man's voice was steady, almost soothing. "Clara, my dear, your fear is misplaced. You think I'm the monster here? You don't even know the truth about yourself." A collective gasp echoed through the room, confusion and disbelief thickening the air. "What do you mean by that?" Rachel whispered, her face pale. Emma's mind raced. What could he be implying? Clara's past flickered through her thoughts. She shifted nervously, her hands trembling as she struggled to comprehend the implications of his words. "I was only trying to protect the legacy," he continued, ignoring the tension swirling like a storm. "But you all deserve to know the truth." "The truth?" Emma repeated, feeling a sick knot in her stomach. "About what?" With a deep breath, he began to speak, his gaze never leaving Emma. "It's not just about abuse, Emma. It's about power. I wanted to keep our family strong, but it required sacrifices." "What sacrifices?" Emma's voice was barely above a whisper, her heart racing. Before he could answer, a loud bang erupted from outside, rattling the windows. The door slammed open again, more figures emerging from the darkness. Figures Emma had thought were long gone. "Mom?" Emma gasped, her mother stepping into view, eyes wide and frantic, followed by Emma's estranged uncle, James, who had disappeared years ago under mysterious circumstances. A wave of bewilderment swept through the room. "Why are you here? What's happening?" Emma shouted, urgency clawing at her voice. "I'm sorry, Emma. We had to come," her mother said, tears brimming in her eyes. "We've been in hiding. It's time for the truth to surface." James advanced, his demeanor serious. "Your grandfather is not who you think he is. We have to stop him." "What?" Emma felt lightheaded, anger swirling with confusion. "Stop him from what?" "From leading us deeper into a darkness we can't escape." James replied, his voice steady but strained. "He's kept secrets not just about his past, but about all of us." "Stop this!" Clara shouted, trembling. "You can't do this here!" But it was too late. The tension had reached a breaking point, and Emma felt everything shift. Her grandfather was no longer an idol, but something darker, something that threatened to consume them all. "What secrets?" she pressed, desperation pouring from her voice. Grandpa took a step back, his expression shifting into one of reluctance. "It's not just about what I've done. It's about what we all have been a part of. Our family has been built on darkness, Emma." Like a punch to the gut, her breath caught. "What do you mean?" Suddenly, a loud crash came from the attic above, shaking the very foundation of their home. The noise was like thunder, echoing through the frail walls. "I didn't want you to see," he said, panic creeping into its tone. "But now it's too late." Emma's heart raced as realization hit like a wave. What else was hidden in this house? "Get back!" her mother yelled, pulling Emma away from her grandfather. "We need to leave, now." But Emma wouldn't move. She was anchored by a terrifying truth. "No, I need to know. What did you do?" A silence descended, thick and suffocating. The air crackled with palpable fear. Just then, a figure appeared in the attic doorway. Not just anyone. Someone Emma recognized all too well. It was her grandmother. But how? She was supposed to be gone. Time seemed to freeze as Emma's mind reeled. What had she just stumbled into? What stretch of truth lay ahead, ready to shatter everything? "Grandma?" Emma breathed, panic and disbelief merging into a single, horrifying question. What's happening? And as the shadows around them deepened, the truth loomed larger than ever. "Grandma?" Emma's heart thudded in her chest, panic mixing with disbelief. The figure in the doorway, cloaked in shadows, stepped into the dim light that flickered overhead. It was her grandmother, but something about her was wrong. Wrong in a way that twisted Emma's stomach into knots. "Emma!" Margaret's voice trembled, filled with desperation. Her eyes darted past Emma, scanning the crowd as if looking for someone. "You have to leave. All of you." "What do you mean?" Emma's head spun. "You're here. You're supposed to be gone." "Time is short." Margaret's gaze hardened, her expression shifting from a terrified mother to someone fierce and commanding. "You were never supposed to uncover this. Not now." "Uncover what?" Clara whimpered, clutching her notebook. The tension in the room thickened like fog. Before Margaret could respond, the door slammed shut again with a loud thud. The air quivered as confusion sparked in the eyes of her family. Emma's pulse quickened. "Get back!" her mother shouted, shielding Emma with her body, eyes wide with fear. "We don't know what this means." The lights flickered once more, then failed entirely, plunging them into darkness. Gasps filled the room. Emma felt like she was suffocating, heart racing, caught between two worlds. "Grandma, please," Emma said, voice desperate. "You left us. You were supposed to protect us. What's happening?" Margaret's breath quickened. "I tried, Emma. I did everything I could, but at a cost." Her voice lowered, a haunting whisper. "Your grandfather made choices. Terrible choices." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the attic, causing the walls to tremble. Emma flinched. What was that? Then, without warning, the floorboards creaked, heavy footsteps descending the staircase. A figure, a young girl with a wild look in her eyes, burst through the attic door, panting heavily. "Help!" she screamed. "They're coming! You have to run!" Emma's breath caught. She recognized the girl from years ago. It was her long-lost sister Mia, missing since childhood. "Mia?" she gasped, tears of disbelief streaming down her face. "No time!" Mia shouted, fear rimming her eyes. "Grandpa, he's not who you think. He's a monster." "Stop! Everyone stop!" Emma's voice rang out. What are you talking about? Panic clawed at her throat. She needed answers. The room erupted into chaos. Clara screamed. Get out of here! He's turning everyone against us! Who's he? Emma yelled, more confused than ever. Your grandfather is part of a cult, Mia stammered, eyes wild. He hid it from all of us. People go missing, Emma. People you loved. It's all connected. A collective gasp filled the room. Emma's stomach dropped. The weight of every betrayal crashed down on her. What do you mean? Before Mia could respond, light flooded the room from outside, illuminating a group gathered at the window. Figures cloaked in black stood just outside, watching, waiting. Their presence felt suffocating, like shadows inching closer. Run! Her mother screamed, yanking Emma toward the back door. But Emma stood frozen, gripping Mia's arm. We can't leave, not without knowing the truth. Margaret stepped forward, her usual warmth gone, replaced by something darker. Emma, this family has secrets you're not ready to face. You've opened doors that should have stayed closed. Emma's heart raced. But you're my grandma. You were supposed to protect us. At that moment, she felt something change in Margaret's eyes. Flickers of anger, regret, and a creeping darkness. I'm protecting you from the truth, she replied, voice low and fierce. And the truth may shatter everything you thought you knew. The shadows outside grew bolder, figures moving closer to the door, urgency pressing in on all sides. Emma felt the suffocation of secrets wrap around her. Trust me, Mia cried, pulling Emma back. We can't trust them. We have to escape. The room erupted again in panic. Emma looked between her mother, her grandmother, and Mia. What do we do? She screamed, confusion engulfing her. And in that moment, everything shifted. One of the figures outside stepped forward, face illuminated by the fading light, revealing a familiar face that turned Emma's world upside down. It was her father, long thought dead. Emma, he called, voice laced with urgency. We need to talk, now. Time shattered around her, melding past and present into a chaos she couldn't comprehend. Dad? She whispered, disbelief etched into every word. The truth hung thick in the air, pulling her in different directions. Old loyalties shattered as new shadows threatened to consume them all. Was everyone she loved a part of this darkness? Come with me, Emma, her father urged, stepping into the room, face grim. What we're up against is bigger than all of us. As the shadows closed in, Emma felt the weight of her choices weighing down on her. Would she follow her father into the unknown, or face the secrets that tore her family apart? Everything she knew hinged on the words that slipped through. The cracks, and the answers lay just out of reach. Emma, her father urged, stepping into the dim room, face serious. We need to talk. Now. Confusion and shock battled inside her. Dad, how are you here? The room buzzed with tension. Her family stared, disbelief etched on their faces, everyone caught between fears and memories. I'm sorry, Emma. I didn't want to pull you into this. There's no time, he emphasized urgently, casting a worried glance at her grandfather. He's been waiting for this moment, and it's bigger than all of us. The air felt charged, heavy with unspoken truths. Bigger? What do you mean, it's bigger? Emma's voice trembled with a mix of fear and defiance. Before he could respond, the shadows outside thickened, and the figure shifted closer, their faces barely illuminated by the dim light. Suddenly, from behind her father, a sudden crash interrupted their moment. Emma turned to see the wooden attic door swing open, and her heart dropped into her stomach. Out staggered another figure, one dressed in tattered clothes, hair wild and unkempt, a boy with strikingly familiar features, eyes wide with terror. "Help! You have to listen! They're coming for all of you!" "Who are you?" Emma whispered, the world narrowing down to the stunned look on his face. "It's me, Emma. It's Michael," he gasped, revealing a history they had buried deep. Her missing brother, thought lost forever. "No way! You're lying!" she shouted. But the resemblance was undeniable. He looked just like her brother, her lost sibling who had vanished years ago. "I'm not lying!" His voice cracked, desperation bleeding through. "I escaped! We have to!" But the room erupted in chaos. Clara screamed, "No! You shouldn't have come back! You don't understand what's happening!" "Stop it!" Emma yelled, her heart pounding in rhythm with her mounting frustration. "Everyone, please! No more secrets!" But as those words left her lips, a bone-chilling laugh erupted from her grandfather. "Secrets? Emma, you think you're ready for the truth? You're just scratching the surface." Shadows danced in his eyes. "Michael, where have you been?" Emma's voice softened, emotions crashing like waves as she reached for him. "It's not safe! He controls everything!" Michael shouted, glancing at their grandfather. "I was kept hidden. They don't want you to know." "What do you mean, they?" The room felt like it was closing in around her. The words pierced through the air like arrows. Just as her grandfather opened his mouth to respond, the front door burst open with a terrifying bang. The light flooded in, catching everyone by surprise. In stepped a woman clad in dark clothing with a confident stride, eyes fierce and penetrating. "Dad, we don't have time for this," she announced, drawing every gaze in the room. "They're here. If you want to stop this, you need to trust me." The hairs on the back of Emma's neck stood on end. "What do you mean?" The new arrival's eyes softened momentarily, locking onto Emma's. "You're stronger than you know, but you're also in danger. We all are." Suddenly, a chilling realization crashed over Emma. "Wait, you're not just anyone. You're a member?" Her voice faded into shock. "You're part of the group?" "No," her grandfather interjected, voice like thunder. "You don't know what you're saying." Confusion swirled and the room spun with indignation. Emma felt dizzy, grappling with betrayal and anger. "Everyone's hiding something. What's the truth?" Then Michael cut in. "Grandpa is the leader. He orchestrates everything. He's the one who has twisted our lives into this nightmare." Every gaze turned to her grandfather, his face twisted in rage, voice low and threatening. "You think you know? You have no idea how deep this runs." Emma felt the blood drain from her face. Every memory, every cherished moment shattered into pieces. The room grew quiet. Anticipation hung heavy in the air. Then she stepped forward, each word a revelation. "You're the monster, aren't you?" But before anyone could respond, the lights flickered violently and a loud crash echoed, shaking the very foundation of their home. The figures outside surged forward, desperate and loud, breaking through the threshold. And in that moment, as chaos unleashed, Emma realized the truth would not be so simple. With one final howl of wind, everything around her transformed, blurring lines between family and enemy, trust, and betrayal. "Emma!" her mother screamed amidst the clamor. "We have to get out, now!" But now, as the walls seemed to close in and the shadows leaped toward her, Emma was left with one burning question. Who could she really trust when even blood felt like a lie? And as darkness swept over them, she stood frozen, faced with the monstrous legacy that gripped her family. What awaited them all in the chaos? The room shattered into chaos as Emma's father stepped forward, urgency radiating off him. Shadows lurked at the edges, and the air crackled with tension. "You need to listen to me. We don't have much time," he exclaimed, eyes darting around as if expecting a hidden threat to suddenly reveal itself. Time for what? Emma felt a swell of anger and fear, confusion tumbling through her mind like a storm. "What are you hiding?" She stepped back, every instinct screaming at her to be ready to protect herself. "Everything you think you know, it's twisted." He looked over to her grandfather, whose face was darkening, filled with a rage that threatened to explode. "The truth can change everything." Suddenly, the room filled with a loud crash, echoing as the back door splintered open. A group of masked figures surged in, faces hidden, movements calculated, like predators stalking their prey. Gasps tore through the room, Emma's heart racing in her chest. "Emma, run!" her mother screamed, pulling her toward the far side of the room. The masked figures moved like shadows, blocking every possible escape route. "Wait!" Emma shouted, her brain working overtime. "Dad, what's happening?" In that moment, her grandfather stepped forward, shaking his head, his expression morphing into something sinister. "You shouldn't have pried into things that don't concern you, Emma," he growled, eyes filled with a terrifying familiarity. "You don't understand the consequences." But just as the words left his lips, something incredible happened. A flash of light erupted out of the attic, illuminating the heavy air. A voice rang out, sharp and commanding, cutting through the chaos. "Enough!" It was another figure, clad in dark clothing but standing tall with authority. "Jasmine?" Emma felt her knees go weak. It was her estranged sister, someone she had believed was lost forever after the family imploded years ago. Jasmine stepped through, eyes fierce. "You all need to listen to me right now. Why are you here?" "Here?" Emma gasped, the ground shifting beneath her as so many pieces fell into place. "Because I know why they're here," Jasmine shouted, pointing a finger at the masked figures. "They're coming for him! They need him back before it's too late!" Emma's mind spun. "Need who back? What are you saying?" "Your grandfather," Jasmine said, voice steady, but filled with urgency. "The organization wants him back. He was their leader before he disappeared." The words hung heavy in the air, leaving everyone stunned. Emma felt her stomach twist. "What do you mean, leader?" "His work wasn't finished, and they need him to keep it going. Whatever twisted plans they have," Jasmine continued, eyes locked on her grandfather, who looked more like a monster by the second. "Stop it!" he barked, voice low and dangerous. Fear rippled through the room, but Jasmine pressed on, her voice rising above the chaos. "They orchestrated everything, the disappearances, even the war. He's been part of something dark and dangerous, hidden in plain sight." "No!" Emma's heart raced. Everything she loved felt like it was crumbling. "You're lying!" "No," Jasmine replied quietly. "This is why I had to leave. I was protecting you from this life. But you stumbled right into it. Suddenly, a figure from the masked crowd stepped forward, waiting for the right moment. "We can't let him go back to them." Throbbing disbelief coursed through Emma. "Why would you help us? You've been with them?" He shook his head fiercely, eyes pleading. "No, I've been gathering information. They need him to cover up something even bigger. You didn't just crack open a trunk. You're digging into a legacy of darkness." As Emma processed the weight of his words, an icy dread settled in. She felt the very foundation of her world begin to shake. If they're here for him, then what happens to us? "Run!" Adam shouted, panic flaring in his eyes. "Together!" Jasmine roared, and the room erupted into chaos again. Yet as Emma turned to flee, she suddenly realized something. A heavy truth pressing against her consciousness. She didn't want to escape. She needed to face whatever monstrous legacy had clung to her family for years. "Enough!" Emma shouted, feeling a surge of defiance course through her. "I want the truth, now!" And just like that, as she stood firm, a chilling silence fell over the room. Would the truth be what she expected? Or would it reveal a nightmare she couldn't comprehend? "Enough!" Emma shouted, feeling a surge of defiance course through her. "I want the truth, now!" The air thickened, and both her grandfather and Jasmine stood frozen, uncertainty washing over their faces like a cold wave. The figures from the masked crowd shifted uneasily, hanging on the edges of the brewing storm. "Emma, you think you can handle it?" her grandfather finally sneered, a hint of fear flickering in his eyes. "You have no idea what you're asking for." "Stop playing games," Emma shot back, her heart pounding in her chest. "Just tell me!" Before he could respond, a heavy thud resounded from the darkness outside, and the front door burst open once more. In rushed another figure, a flash of movement that sent the masked individuals scrambling back. "Get down!" the newcomer yelled, a voice that sent chills down Emma's spine. She turned to see her long-lost Aunt Clara, wild-eyed and frantic, holding a strange device that crackled ominously. "Clara?" Emma gasped, shock registering in her features. "What are you doing here?" "There's no time!" Clara shouted, eyes darting around, filled with panic. "He's coming for you all! We need to go! Now!" "Who's coming?" Emma asked, confusion mingling with an urgent sense of dread. Suddenly, Clara activated the device with a swift pull of a lever. The air crackled with energy. A loud, high-pitched noise filled the room, almost like a siren. "Stop! You don't know what you're doing!" her grandfather yelled, stepping toward Clara, anger boiling in his voice. But in a blink, the lights flickered wildly, then went out completely, plunging them into a darkness so thick it felt suffocating. Gasps echoed in the stillness, panic threading through the air like a live wire. "Clara," Jasmine shouted, dread in her voice. "What have you done?" In the darkness, a pained cry pierced through, echoing from the attic above. It was a voice Emma knew. "Help! Someone, please!" "Mia!" Emma's heart raced. "Is she okay?" "I don't know," Clara shouted back, voice trembling as she adjusted the device, frantically pressing buttons. "We have to find her!" As turmoil unfolded, another presence emerged from the dark shadows, quiet footsteps echoing closer. "You shouldn't have come back, Clara," a cold voice rasped. Emma felt a chill run down her spine. It was her grandfather, his voice steady, ominous. "This is exactly what I was afraid of." "What do you mean?" Emma demanded, heart pounding. "What are you really afraid of?" But before he could answer, the device Clara wielded began to hum louder, vibrating with a low frequency. It sent a tremor through the floor. "Get back!" Clara shouted. "I'm activating it!" And then, in a moment that felt surreal, the air thundered as a flash of blinding light erupted from the device. It illuminated a hidden corner of the room, revealing something that sent shockwaves throughout the crowd. There, chained beneath the stairs, lay a girl bound and gagged. Emma's breath caught. It was Mia, but she wasn't alone. Next to her was another figure, covered in a cloak, face hidden in shadows. But it wasn't until the light shifted that Emma's breath caught in her throat. The cloaked figure raised their head, and what she saw froze her blood. Dark, familiar eyes staring back at her. "Emma," the figure whispered, voice slick. With familiarity. "It's me. Michael?" Emma's voice shook, disbelief clawing at her sanity. "But you were gone." "No," Clara said, shaking her head, horror dawning on her face. "You're lying. It can't be." "Michael was never lost," Clara's voice broke. "He was right here, a part of it all." A collective gasp swept through the room as Emma's heart plummeted. "What do you mean?" Emma looked back at her grandfather, whose face twisted into an absolute mask of fury and regret. "You were never supposed to find out," he snarled. But it was too late. The truth loomed. Whatever they had tried to bury was clawing its way to the surface. And amid the chaos, as the masked figures closed in, Emma felt the world slipped beneath her feet. All she could hear were the pounding beats of her heart, echoing the realization that everything she thought she'd known was a lie. "Trust me, Emma," Michael said, voice trembling. "We need to leave together before it's too late." But the question nagged at her insides. Who could she trust? And as the darkness engulfed them, she stood there, suspended in uncertainty, faced with a legacy that threatened to swallow them whole. What awaited them in that dark unknown? Emma felt her heart beat wildly against her ribcage, a drummer frantically trying to escape. "Michael?" she echoed, grappling with disbelief. If her brother was here, then everything changed. But the darkness felt suffocating, shadows creeping in like claws. Clara tightened her grip. On that strange device, a sense of urgency pricking at Emma's skin. "We have to get Mia out!" she cried, panic rising. "He can't control us anymore!" "Control? What are you talking about?" Emma demanded. Frustration boiled over. "What's happening?" Michael's eyes sparked, desperate but fierce. "The organization doesn't want just Grandpa. They want all of us, everyone who knows." The gravity of his words hung heavy. A part of Emma wanted to run, to escape the tangled web of family secrets that suffocated her. But another part felt anchored, a fierce determination fueling her fight. "I won't let them take anyone else!" Suddenly, another loud crash erupted from the back of the room. The masked figures surged closer, their intentions unclear. Clara pressed A button on the device, and a blinding light erupted again, illuminating the room like a spotlight. But in that moment of brilliance, everything shifted. There was a figure standing beside Michael, someone emerging from the shadows. Emma squinted against the glare. Then her breath froze. It was her father, but not the father she remembered. This one looked worn, older, a man burdened by something deep and dark. "Emma," he said, voice trembling. "I'm sorry. Gad, what's going on?" Her voice cracked, emotions tangled like vines. Her heart raced, uncertainty falling like rain. "Emma," he continued, eyes filled with sorrow. I made a choice. For your safety. There are things you don't understand. Things I had to shield you from. A chilling silence wrapped around them. The air thickened, heavy with revelations that felt like weights. "What do you mean, your choice?" she whispered, eyes darting between her father and Michael. But before he could explain, the device Clara held began to glitch, lights flickering. The sound echoed eerily, a warning siren that sent shivers down Emma's spine. Then, everything exploded. The air hummed, the lights brightened even more, and a deafening roar filled the room. She was struck by a simple thought. One that shook her to the core. What if this was all planned? "Stop!" her grandfather shouted, voice rising above the chaos, anger twisting every word. "You're putting us all in danger!" But Emma caught a glimpse, a flicker from the device reflected in her father's eyes. Regret? Something darker? A realization crashed over her. "You knew," she breathed. "You knew everything." He stepped forward. "I thought I was protecting you, but I never should have." But Michael interrupted, waving his hand. "It's not about just protection. It goes deeper. They can't control what they don't know." The masked figures lurked, gathering closer, their intentions hidden. Emma's fear mixed with her need for truth. "Why would I trust any of you?" "Because, Emma," turned her father, "they're coming for you. For us." He pointed toward the chaotic shadows gathering like storm clouds. "If we don't act now," he trailed off, words swallowed by dread. Then a door exploded open again, light cutting through the darkness, revealing a group of armed people in protective gear. Their leader stepped forward, face hidden behind a mask, and he raised a hand to call for silence. "We're here to take you home!" A chill ran down Emma's spine. Who were they? Friends or foes? "Home? What do you mean?" she stammered, confusion igniting a flicker of panic inside her. Each heartbeat rang like a warning bell. But just as new tension settled into the crowd, a familiar voice broke through the chaos like glass shattering. "Stop this madness! I'll explain everything!" All eyes turned to see her mother standing at the entrance, resolute. Emma blinked, hope mingling with disbelief. "Mom?" But as she stepped into the chaotic light, a revelation hit Emma harder than a punch. The looming uncertainty of who her mother really was shifted. Again. "This was all part of the plan, wasn't it?" Emma whispered, everything suddenly spiraling into a vortex of hidden truths. The room froze as realizations washed over them like ice water. Emma had to fight through telling herself she had control. But now, as shadows shifted and dark voices surged all around them, one thing was clear. The truth wasn't just hidden in the past. It was weaving through her very blood. And she was at the center of it all. But what that meant was terrifying. And just like that, darkness loomed closer, swallowing them whole. What happened next could shatter everything they had left. Emma's heart pounded in her chest, chaos swirling around her. Voices clashed like thunder, revelations pulsed through the air. And fear tightened like a vice grip around her throat. Her father stood firm, eyes wide with urgency, while Michael's presence brought a strange mix of hope and dread. "Emma, we have to trust each other," Michael pleaded, desperation etched on his face. "They've been waiting too long to silence us." But every heartbeat felt heavier, What if you're wrong? What if we're walking into a trap? She wanted to escape, to rewind time, to erase this nightmare. Enough! Clara shouted, activating the device once more. The crackling hum surged, sending jolts of energy through the air. Light illuminated hidden corners of the room, and for a split second, everything fell silent. Faces turned toward her, laden with fear and anticipation. Then came the piercing sound, a shrill scream from the depths of the attic. Mia! Emma surged forward, but her mother grabbed her, eyes wide and frantic. No, we have to go now! Staring into her mother's eyes, Emma felt the pulse of her family's pain echoing through them. No, I can't just leave her! She wrenched free, her heart racing. Stay together, her father barked, urgency urging them forward. This isn't over! Emma bolted toward the stairs leading to the attic. The world around her pulsed, each shout blending into a cacophony of fear. She climbed the steps, heart thundering with every movement. Mia! The attic was dark, the only light seeping from a crack in the walls. And there, huddled in the corner, was Mia. Lost but alive. Relief crashed over Emma like a wave. Mia! She sobbed, reaching for her sister. But just as she grabbed Mia's hand, the shadows shifted. A dark figure emerged, shrouded in a black cloak. You shouldn't have come here, Emma, it hissed, voice dripping with malice. Get away from her, Emma shouted, adrenaline surging, fear igniting her resolve. I'm protecting the family, the figure snarled, revealing the cold, familiar face of her grandfather. All of you think you know what's best, but I'm the one who has kept you safe in this darkness. Safe? By hiding the truth? Emma's voice quaked with rage. You're the nightmare! Just like they... In an instant, Emma saw the monster hiding beneath the surface. You've done nothing but trap us in your lies, Michael shouted, stepping forward with a newfound bravery. We're escaping this together! A sudden blast of energy surged from Clara's device, illuminating the attic in piercing light. You can't control us anymore, Jasmine roared, defiance igniting bravery in the room. Emma squeezed Mia's hand, her heart racing. We're leaving! We're breaking this cycle! The room erupted in chaos. The shadows lunged forward, but Emma found her footing, guiding Mia and Michael with determination. They darted past the looming figure of her grandfather, pulse hammering as they raced toward the exit. We have to stick together, Emma shouted, leading with fierce resolve. The staircase felt like a lifeline, each step a defiance against the darkness that threatened to engulf them. Light flooded as they burst through the attic door, landing into the embrace of their gathered family. Emma turned, adrenaline pumping through her veins as she faced her grandfather once and for all. You're not our protector, you're the threat. In that moment, everything shifted. The shadows receded, and the masked figures flinched, uncertainty flickering in their eyes, as the unity of family pressed against them like a shield. Her grandfather's facade cracked. You don't understand what's at stake. With you, we never will, Emma declared, standing taller than ever. We're taking back our lives. As the chaos swirled, the masked figures faltered, doubt flooding their ranks. Emma felt the power of her family's unity washing over her. This was their moment. As they moved toward the door, Emma caught sight of the sun setting, brilliant and warm. For the first time, hope poured through the cracks of the darkness. Together, they stepped outside, leaving the oppressive weight of their past behind. "We're free," Michael breathed, disbelief shining in his eyes. And in that moment, with the warmth of the setting sun wrapping around them, everything felt possible. As silence enveloped them, hope blossomed within Emma's chest. What lay ahead was uncertain, yes, but they would face it together. No more darkness, no more secrets. But before the battle was completely over, she turned to her family, voice steady. "We learn from this. We break the cycle." "Together," they echoed back, standing resolute as one. Emotion swelled, and Emma felt her heart swell with purpose. They had faced demons, and they had emerged stronger. And now, dear friend, while this incredible chapter comes to a close, this is the moment to take action. You have to subscribe right now so you don't miss any of the exclusive stories coming up. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and support the channel that brings you these gripping tales. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about the ending. And instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Don't wait even one more second to share this. Your support makes all the difference. End.